Hi, I'm Mike Turner, your friendly filmmaker, and today I want to talk about the Yi 4K action camera. Now, this action camera has been out for some time now. It's not like it's a new thing. Matter of fact, I think there's a Yi Action Camera Plus or something like that. But you may have seen one of the videos I did about time-lapsing, and I said I was going to make a review video about it, so here I am. Now, this is not going to be like a full-scale review talking about every feature about the camera, but I want to talk about the main thing that people look for in any type of camera, and that's the image quality. Now, when I was using it for time-lapse videos, I found the image quality to be pretty good, and I was quite impressed with some of the time-lapse videos that I was able to create. But it wasn't too long ago that I was using it on a gig, and I looked at the footage, and I didn't wind up using the footage because there was a lot of artifacts in the image. You know, it kind of looked a little grainy, a little noisy, and I was actually outdoors when I was shooting this. I was in a park, and it was daytime. So I wouldn't expect that type of image coming out of the camera, especially because I was shooting in 400 ISO, which is the lowest ISO you can shoot on the camera. I definitely would expect it to be crystal clear. Now, I was shooting in 1080 standard HD, so I thought maybe that could be the problem. I don't know, but I just figured the HD would be okay. So anyway, let's take a look at some sample footage, just so I can kind of show you guys what I'm talking about. All right, so pause. What just happened there? So we're in my backyard, I have the case on, and it looks like total trash. Take the case off, it looks slightly better. Go to the next clip in the park, case on, still looks good. Take the case off, looks about the same. So what happened here? Well, here's tip one to making your video look a bit better with the Yi Action Cam. If you're using one of these cases, you better make sure it's clean, because this thing has a tendency to get a little bit dirty, and if it does, your video is going to look like crap. And when I'm saying dirty, I don't really mean dirty. I just mean smudged. It can get a little bit smudged, and if you don't wipe that off, it's going to look really, really bad. Another thing, if you noticed when I was in the park and I had the case on and then I took it off, the picture looked slightly different, but not all that different. Why did that happen? Because I had the lens on the Yi Action Cam perfectly clean. I made sure the case and the lens were both perfectly clean in the park. In my backyard, I guess I neglected to check it. I think both were smudged a little bit, and it made the picture look like total garbage. And so take a lens cleaning cloth with you everywhere you go. Maybe use a little lens fluid on there too, if you don't have that. Another thing to keep in mind, when you have on this case, if there's a lot of solar flare coming in, you know, the sun's out and it's blasting right into it, it's also not going to look that good. You're going to get a lot of flaring when you have this on. The next thing I want to show you is image stabilization. Image stabilization in the camera works fairly well, but as you can see in the footage, if you're actually moving, like you're walking with the camera, so you're kind of, you know, bumping along, it doesn't do a great job in stabilizing. It's not an optical stabilization, it's electronic stabilization. So it's running algorithms to correct the moving pixels in the picture. It works similar to Adobe Premiere's warp stabilizer. And if anyone has used warp stabilizer, it works well when the shot is shaky, but it's not super shaky. Once it starts to get super shaky, it turns things into jello in order to correct the picture. And that doesn't really look good. It makes your image look kind of crappy. So I would suggest, if you're not standing still, I would turn the image stabilization off. So if you're standing still and all you're doing is just panning and tilting and you're just trying to get that, handshake out of the picture, image stabilization is okay. If you're trying to track your subject, you're walking with your subject and you're bumping around, you might want to turn it off. It's not going to make things look all that great.
Xavier, I said you're not supposed to go down that way. Daddy said you're not supposed to go down that way. It's dangerous. Go ahead, sit, baby. Don't go on top of the table. This is where we sit. We sit right here. Oh boy, yeah, we're sitting now. Right, we're sitting.
Tip number 3, we can talk about shooting in 1080p, 2K, or 4K. Obviously, as you move up into 4K, you're moving into the highest resolution that the camera is capable of capturing. So you would think if you shoot in 4K, you're gonna get a better picture. Now, as you can see in some of the tests here, I did some shots in 1080p, some are in 2K, some are in 4K, and all of them are downscaled into a 1080p timeline. I don't see much difference in the image quality when you're doing that. I do like shooting in 2K anyway, just because you have the option to reframe your picture, the same as 4K. It's just that 4K in the camera, you can only shoot wide and you can't correct the lens distortion in camera. So then you got to do it in post. It's not hard, but for the sake of times, you can just shoot in 2K and the picture's already squared off, and you can either downscale it completely or you can reframe your image in 2K mode. So a lot of times I'll shoot in 2K. Are you going to get a huge bump in image quality in 1080p? Not really. So I don't see a big deal with that. I'm sure a lot of people will probably disagree, but I don't think that matters. Now, the next thing you can do to get some image quality, and this again isn't a huge deal, but I think it does help some. Some of the clips you can see I'm shooting in high sharpness, and some I'm shooting in medium, and some I'm shooting in low. I find that when you shoot in high sharpness, the picture doesn't look as good as if you shoot in medium. I think medium sharpness is where you want to always have the camera set. High sharpness basically makes the lines so sharp that they almost look jagged. So if you just reduce that just a little bit, the lines in your video appear to be less jagged and just kind of smoother. Low doesn't look bad either, but I feel like in low sharpness, things start to look a little out of focus, just a little, not a lot. Where I find medium sharpness is just perfect. So I would set it to medium. Another thing, obviously, is you can set your ISO to 400. In all of these shots that you saw, I was shooting outdoors. So I had natural light on my side. So I made sure that the camera's ISO was set to 400. Now, even if it was in auto, it probably would have kept it at 400 for me. But just in case, if you kind of move to an area with shade, the camera might bump up your ISO a little bit, and then you start to introduce some noise into the picture. This is not a big deal, but let's just talk about it. Metering. I think you might have noticed in some of the clips, I mentioned that I was shooting an average metering or center weighted metering. I read somewhere online that that made a difference in the image quality. In my testing, it doesn't really make that much of a difference. I really don't see any difference. But here's the thing. Let's just say right now, instead of bricks behind me, there was just a black background, like a real dark black background, flat black. And here I am with my caramel complexion. And well, it's not really caramel, but whatever. So let's just say I'm sitting here and I'm using the Yi action cam to film myself. Well, if I'm on average metering, it's going to take the whole picture, and because most of the picture would be black, it's going to probably overexpose my face. Where if I use center metering and the center, it's just focusing on the center of the frame and exposing for what's in the center, it's going to say, okay, well, his skin tones are this way, so we're going to expose the picture just right for his skin tones and ignore all the black stuff behind him. So in certain situations, yes, it's going to make your image better. But, you know, basically, for most situations, you could probably leave it on average or center and be fine. It probably won't make that much of a difference. So there you go. I think that's about it. I think that covers it. I think those will help you out in getting a good image out of your Yi action cam. You know, comment on that. Let me know if there's anything I'm missing. If you guys have any tips for me that will help me get the best performance out of the Yi action camera, I want to know. So just tell me what's up. If you found that review to be helpful, please go ahead and like it. It only takes you a second to hit that like button, so just go ahead and press that damn thing and give me a freaking like. Thank you. Yeah. What the hell was I saying? Oh. Thanks for watching, and I guess I'll see you soon.